Today we will see the story of Raya and the last dragon. 500 years ago in a place called Kumandra, when the land was full of harmony was a paradise, where there were many dragons. Unfortunately, the drums came, a soulless plague that turned everything to stone just by touching it, petrifying the dragons. But the last dragon called Sisu put all her power in a gem, destroying the drums, reviving all humans, except the dragons. The only thing left of them was the gem of Sisu. Then all humans came into conflict for this gem. They created borders dividing Kumandra, and the gem had to be hidden. Here we are introduced to Princess Raya, as a lonely traveler from the Heartland, an agile and brave girl who went to the jungle, entering a tunnel full of traps, and together with Tuk Tuk the armadillo managed to escape. When she opened the gate she climbed barefoot to what seemed to be the hiding place of the gem. To her bad luck, the boss Benja was there to protect her. Raya tried to beat him, but it was impossible. We learned that Benja was her father and her whole family swore to protect the gem. That day Princess Raya became the new guardian by passing the test. Later in the castle her father told her that people from the other parts of Kumandra were on their way. From Kola some dirty mercenaries from the desert, from Gara salesmen and fast fighters, from Kolumna giant warriors from the frozen forest, and from Kilmilo a nation full of furious killers. Raya was expecting a war, but they only came for dinner. The chief explained to him that each land was named after a part of the dragon because they used to be one, Kumandra. So he believed they could unite again. Clearly Raya didn't think so. Finally everyone from the lands arrived. There was a lot of tension. They were full of hatred between them. Until Raya showed up with Namari from Fong. The two girls were both dragon fans, so they got along well. Already inside they talked about a legend, which tells that Sisu the dragon is still alive. Namari showed her a scroll, which said that after the drums left, the dragon Sisu fell into the water, reaching a river. The legend says that she is still asleep on the shore. Then Namari gave her Sisu necklace. As she felt confident Raya took her to the hiding place where the gem was, but Namari attacked Raya with a kick, betraying her, throwing a flare, alerting her mother and her tribe the location of the gem. They immediately surrounded Raya, but quickly the chief arrived to protect the gem with all honor. Then all sides arrived, claiming the gem, but the chief told them that this was not possible, but they did not listen to him. They broke the gem, and the temple collapsed, and out of nowhere the grums came out, turning everyone to stone. But the people only cared about having the gem, so each side took a piece. The plague tried to attack the boss and Raya, but the water stopped it, giving them time to escape. But in the middle of the way the boss could not continue, so he gave the fragment to Raya and threw it into the sea, while he turned to stone. 6 years later we see Raya in the tail lands, with Tuk Tuk the armadillo, but very big. Raya was already a young girl who was traveling all over Kumandra when out of nowhere, a big drum attacked her, so she defended herself with the gem fragment. Then she entered a crashed boat, which inside had a small river, so Raya began to pray to the dragon Sisu because she had looked for her in all the rivers and this was the last one. She made a ritual. She sang to her and served water. All of a sudden, the water began to flow, joining drop by drop to form the dragon Sisu, who seemed to be quite distracted since she did not know that she was asleep for 500 years and that the gem was broken. When she found out she went crazy, and when she touched the piece of gem she was completely illuminated, since the gem still had power. With this, Raya and Sisu were in search of the other pieces of the gem. To their bad luck the Princess Namari and the Fangs were looking for her. They tracked her to the river, but she had already left since together with Sisu. They looked for the piece they had in Kola. There were many traps with bomb beetles. The fact is that they found the fragment of the gem in a cave full of traps. Even so they got it. To their bad luck Namari arrived again. Raya told her that she found Sisu and introduced her to her. Then Namari attacked them, but Raya quickly set off the traps to catch the Fangs, while they escaped along with Tuk Tuk. But the Fangs' pets were very fast, but they hated the water, so Tuk Tuk jumped into the sea to escape from them. They boarded a boy's boat, who would take them to the land of Claw. Clearly his boat was not very fast, so Sisu swam helping them to escape from Namari. On the way Sisu enjoyed the sea, but he could not be a dragon as long as they did not have the gems, so he transformed again into a human. On the other hand Namari and the Fangs arrived to the dragon zone, with hundreds of statues of them, so they kept a minute of silence. And on the other hand Raya and his friends found themselves in a swamp full of grums, so Sisu told them that the drums were born of human discord, a plague that attacks, the opposite of the dragons that consume everything. Also the boy told them that the drums took his family as well as Sisu's, so Raya also threw a flower of respect. At last they arrived to Gara, a place that was drums proof, since it was in the water. Raya and Tuk Tuk went in search of the gem, when suddenly a baby and some monkeys stole the gems they had. On the other hand Sisu left the boat and began to take things from the market, getting into trouble. The case is that he revealed that they had 2 dragon gems, so an old woman took it. Returning with Raya he chased the baby all over Gara. He finally caught them, but Raya had pity on them and gave them a task in exchange for money: distract the guards to get to the gem. Raya quickly entered, but the boss was petrified because the old woman that Sisu was with stole it. The old woman took Sisu to the outskirts of the water, where it was full of drums. The old woman asked her for the other pieces of gem, or else she would leave her and the drums. But just in time Raya arrived, taking the gem from the old woman and saving Sisu. Every time the dragoness touched a gem, she obtained the powers of other dragons. They arrived to the boat to continue their way to the land of Column, taking with them the baby and the monkeys. Meanwhile, in the nation of the Fawn, Nalmari told his mother everything that had happened and that he knew that Raya was going to Column, so he asked her for troops to intercept her. We return to Sisu, who told Raya how difficult it was to be human, that they were full of hatred, lies and mistrust. They arrived to Column, and because of Sisu's ignorance they were captured by a giant who took their gems, a fearsome but lonely warrior. To their luck he and the gang rescued them, taking the gems back, but everything got worse when Nalmari arrived, asking them to hand over Raya, but Comilla was uninhabited. All its inhabitants were petrified. No wonder the chief was alone, so Raya trusted the giant. They fought and fought, but Nalmari was very sharp and was beating him until Sisu appeared, but as a dragon, chasing away everyone except Nalmari, who was stunned to see her. The case is that the giant joined the gang. Raya told them all about her plan to unite the gem, so everyone wanted to help her. Even the giant gave her the Column gem, giving Sisu more powers, water control, which gave him the ability to fly. They sailed and sailed until they reached the outskirts of Tusk, so they had to create a plan to reach the most protected land of all. Later Sisu took to the land of Heart at Bay, to see where everything happened 500 years ago. There were the brothers of Sisu, those who gave him powers. Together they were the last dragons, since the drums petrified the others, so together they created the gem, uniting the magic of each one to form it, and chose Sisu to take it and destroy the drums. He even went to see his father, leaving him a flower as respect, which gave him hope. Meanwhile Nalmari told her mother that she saw the dragon, but her mother already knew and did not agree, because when everything went back to normal they would blame the Fong for everything. Then the lady told her that if they had all the fragments of the gem and the dragon they would see them as heroes, so the mother had a plan. On the other hand, the baby gang entered the palace stealthily, until they reached Namari's room and left her a note and the dragon amulet, so she accepted. Namari and Raya met at last. She gave him the gem, but to her bad luck she took out a crossbow. But when Sisu tried to talk to her, Raya desperately attacked her, so Namari shot directly at Sisu. With this all the water disappeared, so nothing could stop the drums. Furious, Raya went in search of Namari. When she found her, her mother had been petrified. Now both were furious, full of hate and revenge. They started to fight in chaos. The gang was helping people to escape and took them to the water, while Raya and Namari kept fighting and fighting. Raya defeated her and realized that this was not Namari's fault but also hers, so he decided to leave her and go to help his friends. Together they chased the drums away. Unfortunately everything collapsed and the magic of the gem was fading, and the drums were even closer to them. The only solution was to put the fragments of the gem together, just like the dragons did to him, trusting each other. So Raya gave his piece to Namari, and so they all did, turning to stone. So Namari put all the pieces together. At first it didn't work, but the drums disappeared out of nowhere, and suddenly the gem exploded, bringing back the rain, which revived every petrified being. The rivers flowed again, and the sun shone again. With this the gang was reunited and the dragons came back into existence, flying through the rain. They revived Sisu, full of life. She embraced Raya, and then the whole gang, even Namari. After all this the giant was reunited with his people. The baby returned to see her mother, and the child to his family, while Raya returned to the land of Heart, reuniting with his father after 6 years, introduced him to Sisu, which brought all the inhabitants, reuniting all Kumandra, and all this was thanks to the gang, Raya and the last dragon. Don't forget to subscribe for more content.